Hello, students. Nice to see you, and welcome to Max Sensei's online English lesson, episode 35. Today, we are talking about zoos. So, I hope you like talking about animals and going to the zoo. The reason why I picked this topic is because recently, my daughter Hannah is becoming more and more interested in animals. So when we go for a walk around the park or when we go for a walk in my neighborhood, she always watches the people walking their dogs, or she sees cats, or she looks at birds, and she gets really excited. When the dog is coming up, she has this excited scream that she does, like, ah! And she wants to touch the dogs. And so I thought I want to show her a lot of different kinds of animals. So we went to the zoo and we had a great time. We saw so many different kinds of animals. We learned many different things. And overall, Hannah had a great time looking at new and interesting animals. She really enjoyed looking at the capybara. She liked watching the horse and the donkey, the parrots, and she looked at the big giraffe and the elephant too. And I want to go back to the zoo many times because Hannah really enjoys it. And I think the zoos are really interesting. They have a lot of benefits, but they're not always that positive. There are some negative aspects to the zoo as well. So as I was researching today, I wanted to talk about the benefits and the downsides, the drawbacks to zoos. So let's begin today's lesson, episode 35. Okay, I'm going to start reading. Zoos are a fantastic way for people to see animals that they would never be able to see in the wild. It's a chance to get up close to wild animals and study them while being in a safe space. Zoos already provide a lot of benefits. Zoos also provide a lot of benefits. Clearly, zoos are great for people. But what about the animals? They may be doing more harm than good, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. First, let's look at a brief history of zoos. The concept of zoos has been around for over 5,000 years. In 3500 BCE, ancient rulers in Egypt would collect exotic animals and keep them in their palace gardens, called menageries, for their visitors to look at. It was a way for those rulers to show off their power and wealth. The modern idea of a zoo where the public can come and observe animals and study their behavior started to exist in the 1800s. Menageries were designed to entertain high society, but 1800s zoos, called zoological gardens, were designed to educate the public with scientific information. These zoological gardens were paid for by local communities or scientific communities. In the 1900s, these zoological gardens looked a lot like what zoos these days look like and started getting government funded. Now that we know a history of the zoos and their purpose, let's look at all the great things they do for society and for animals. Zoos, of course, are a great entertainment for people. Being able to go to the local zoo and see wild animals playing or eating is very exciting and fun. But that isn't the main goal of zoos. The main goal for zoos is to educate the public on wildlife and teach the public what can be done to protect the animals, especially endangered animals. Each animal at the zoo is a representative of their species in the wild. Zoos also contribute to scientific research. The word zoo is short for zoological park, and zoology is the study of animals and wildlife. Zoos give a chance for scientific experts to study wild animals up close and learn about their biology and behavior. The final function of zoos is to protect and save endangered animals. They can take in at-risk animals, breed them in captivity, and then reintroduce them to the wild. One example of this is the California condor, a rare bird species that became endangered in the 1980s. Researchers realized there were only about 30 of these birds left in all of California. And so they started capturing them for breeding. Only 4 years later, there were over 300 of them that were introduced into the wild. As we can see, there are several great things that zoos provide for people and for endangered species. But now, let's look at some of the downsides of zoos. While zoos in developed countries take good care of their animals and provide safe, clean environments for them, zoos in underdeveloped countries are not so lucky. What this means is that some zoos don't have the resources to properly care and provide for their animals, which will negatively impact the animal. Animals in captivity also suffer from physical and mental health issues. Animals living in the wild will be able to travel great distances every day looking for food or surviving. However, animals in captivity can't travel, and their stress levels go up, which changes their behavior. This stress eventually leads to the zoo animals dying much earlier than the same wild species. It is difficult to decide. It is difficult to decide if zoos are worth it or not. They provide a great learning experience for many people, and they protect endangered species from extinction. But they also create stress in some animals, which can lead to mental health issues. One thing for certain is that animals are an interesting and beautiful part of nature and should be respected and cared for, which is something we can all agree on. All right, guys. So that was the article, and let's talk a little bit more about some of these, mental stress behaviors that animals learn in captivity. But first, let's practice our vocabulary. Okay, let me reduce the screen. All right, we're looking at our vocab words, and our first word is exotic. Originating in or characteristic of a distant foreign country. So when we talk about exotic animals, we're talking about an animal originating in a distant foreign country. So for example, an exotic animal in Japan would be like a lion or a tiger. They don't exist in Japan. They're from a distant foreign country, and they're brought to Japan in zoos. Next is the word endangered. So this means a species seriously at risk of extinction. Like, for example, the elephant or the giraffe recently became endangered. The California condor in the example in the essay, and pandas, various other animals. There are many endangered species. The word representative, consisting of people chosen to act and speak on behalf of a wider group. Let's look at the article. So in the essay, it says, each animal at the zoo is a representative of their species in the wild. This means that the lion in the Chiba Zoo, my local zoo, the lion in the zoo represents all lions in the wild. So the public can come and look and observe one lion, and then we can learn about lions in general. So the lion is a representative of wild lions in the jungle. All right, next word, breed. Okay, breed means to cause an animal to produce offspring, especially in a controlled and organized way. I think the biggest kind of campaign or program for breeding animals in captivity right now is the pandas, right? Pandas don't really make children in the wild, so scientists and animal experts have to make them breed so they can continue producing offspring. Offspring means children. All right, and the final word is captivity. Captivity is the condition of being imprisoned or confined. So in the animal case for zoos, we don't want to say imprisoned, we just want to say confined. So put in a cage or put in exhibition area. So animals in captivity, it says animals in captivity also suffer from physical and mental health issues. Yeah. Okay, those are our vocab words. Let's go back to the full screen. So let's talk about that. The animals in captivity have physical and mental stress. When I was at the zoo, the elephant has a very small cage, a small area to walk around in, and the elephant behaves a little strangely. The elephant actually like constantly moves like forward and backwards like this. It tries to take a step and then it removes the step and it tries to take that same step many times over. And I wondered, why is the elephant doing that? So I looked online and I realized that the elephant starts to behave strangely because it's in captivity, which makes me a little sad. So that elephant is stressed and its behavior changed because of its stress. So yeah, that is one of the behaviors that change. Also, it says that monkeys have behavior change. They pull their hair. They pull out some of their hair, which is also, it's pretty sad. But we also learned a lot of positive things that zoos do. So they protect animals that are endangered, and actually, zoos also take injured animals from the wild and they try to heal them and raise them in captivity sometimes. And actually at the zoo, in my local zoo in Chiba, there's a sheep that has a kind of a broken neck, and of course that sheep would definitely die in the wild, but the zoo took it to the zoo. Sorry, the zoo people, I guess the biologists or zoologists, they took it to the zoo and they provided a safe place for it to protect it. So it can survive in the zoo, but it can't in the wild. All right, let's go to our discussion questions. So let's look at question number 1. Number 1, what is your favorite animal to watch at the zoo and why? I'm going to answer this question at the end. But yeah, what is your favorite animal to watch at the zoo? Number 2, would you rather go to a zoo or watch a wild animal on TV? So what I mean by that is like a nature documentary. So would you rather go to the zoo or watch a nature documentary? I think I've asked this question before to some of my students, but I'd like you guys to answer it and send me a response so I can respond to you. Number 3, which do you enjoy more, a zoo or an aquarium? All right, a zoo or an aquarium, which do you like better? And number 4, if you had the opportunity, would you join a safari tour? Why or why not? So the reason why I ask this is because we learned that animals in captivity behave differently to animals in the wild. So if you had a chance, would you go on a safari tour and watch animals in the wild? Why or why not? And number 5, if you could have an exotic animal as a pet, which animal would you choose and why? All right, it's kind of a silly question, but I'm kind of interested to know, what kind of wild animal or exotic animal would you like to have as a pet? Let's imagine that it's not dangerous. It loves you and it knows it's your pet and it doesn't harm you. So if you choose like a big bear, it's safe. It doesn't attack or hurt anybody. It's a safe, calm, big bear. Okay. All right. So I'd love to hear your questions, and I'm going to answer question number 1. Question number 1 again says, what is your favorite animal to watch at the zoo and why. And I think I've talked about this before, but my favorite animal is definitely a shoebill stork. Uh, Shoebill stork. In Japanese, that's hashibiroko. I really like the shoebill stork. It's a really funny animal. It's a really big bird, and it doesn't move very much. It kind of stands in place, and it has a really big mouth, so its head hangs pretty low. I think it's because the mouth is so heavy. And it always kind of looks really angry. It kind of has these eyebrows that are like really kind of like, "Rrr." So it just kind of stays in one place and it looks around, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. I saw a nature documentary on the shoebill stork, and it's awesome animal. It hunts like a dinosaur, so it's really similar to the dinosaur, I think. And it's just a cute kind of big bird animal. So I like to watch that animal at the zoo, and I'm very lucky because my local zoo has two shoebill storks. So that's really nice. All right, guys. I'm interested in your answers, so please send them in, and I'll be sure to respond to you guys quickly. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, that's all for episode 35. Let's think about the positive and negative points of zoos. And again, I look forward to your discussion questions. Goodbye, guys. See ya.